many tourists, Indonesia starts and stops at Bali. Famous the world over for its beautiful beaches and fascinating culture, it's a magnet for backpackers right through to five-star travellers. But there's so much more to Indonesia than Bali alone. Made up of over 17,000 islands, of which only 8,000 are inhabited, it runs for 5,000 kilometres along the length of the equator. On this trip, I joined a group of journalists, including fellow travel guru Amanda Statham, to explore two of Indonesia's less visited but most interesting areas. The famous Komodo National Park and Kalimantan, or Indonesian Borneo, where you can expect sightings of one of the world's most loved and sadly endangered species. Getting around Indonesia involves internal flights. From Jakarta, we took a 1-hour flight to Pangkalan Bun, gateway to the Tanjung Puting National Park. After an overnight stay, it was an early morning start to travel up Crocodile River into the park.
We just arrived. We've only been going for an hour and we've already seen an orangutan in the wild. Really close.
The only way to access the national park is by riverboat. They call them klotoks locally, and they're like houseboats. You can do it in a day, as we're doing, or you can opt to stay overnight on the boats and have a 2-3 day packaged experience. They range from very basic to pretty luxurious really, but ultimately it is a jungle experience. There's a cold shower, there is a toilet, but it's all about the experience, especially at night when all the boats have stopped and you get to see the stars come out and hear the jungle noises. As well as spotting wildlife from the boat, there's also the chance to trek into the jungle to the rehabilitation centre feeding stations. The renowned Camp Liki Centre, our guide Amir told me more.
So orangutan in Indonesian language means the people of the forest. Orang means people and utan or hutan means forest. So they are actually our family, our kin that live in the forest.
And the amazing thing that really blew my mind, we share 97% DNA
Correct.
with the orangutans.
Correct. So there are a lot of similarities between humans and orangutans. So we're so closely related to the point that sometimes there are connection between human and orangutan.
We've just been so lucky today. I mean, the thing is, there's no guarantees in nature. You don't know that you're going to get that close to orangutans.
And I think it's hard to know what to expect from them, isn't it?
Yeah.
They'd wait till within an hour we'd seen an orangutan, which I think is very lucky.
Yes. And also, the thing is, we've crammed it into a day, but if you have 3 days, obviously you're increasing your chances of these just rare spots. I mean, we've seen an orangutan swinging in the trees in the wild. We had one walking down the path.
Walking past it.
Oh no, yeah, it's just been an incredible day. I would recommend this to anyone.
I would. And it feels intrepid without being scary. It's doable.
Yeah, definitely. The second part of our trip took us back to Bali, flying on to Labuan Bajo, the gateway to the Komodo National Park. Again, the only way to access the park is by speedboat or the more traditional pinisi sailboat. There are options to take longer cruises and sleep on board. The accommodation is basic in compact, simple cabins or sleeping up on deck under the stars. Either way, the experience of waking up and sailing at dawn is magical. Komodo National Park is both a World Heritage Site and a Man and Biosphere Reserve. It includes many small islands, but the main three are Komodo, Rincha, and our first stop, Padar Island, where a steep hike reaps rewards.
How is that, Amanda?
Hot. Hard work, but worth it for the view. You can see 2 bays now, and we've also seen birds of prey flying around, which are seagulls apparently, and then we're just about to go to the peak.
The further you sail into the park, the more dramatic the scenery. But the highlight of all cruises is a visit to Komodo Island itself, and the chance to track down the infamous Komodo Dragons. Accompanied by a guide and with a ranger both ahead and behind the group for safety, there's a choice of trails on the island. The dragons could quite literally be anywhere, but there are certain spots the rangers know they're likely to gather. So we've walked about 10 minutes into the park. I found these two by the watering hole, and they're barely moving, but they're still dangerous. There are estimated to be over 1,300 dragons on Komodo, but it is a big island, so out on the hike, all eyes are peeled.
Now we are at the kitchen area.
So they don't feed the
No,
dragons?
we don't feed them. They come here because they getting smell food from kitchen. Sometimes they do scavengers.
So if you don't see them out on the walk, you're guaranteed to see them here?
We cannot say guarantee, but mostly we can see them here.
Extraordinary that these incredible predators can survive for a whole month off the kill of a single deer, but they still seem to like the smell of home cooking. And everyone is after that perfect close-up shot, but when they start to move, it's best to get out of their way. Beyond the dragons, you could spend days exploring the other islands, the stunning pink sand bays and the fabulous snorkelling and diving in these protected waters. But whether you choose to stay on board a boat or at one of the resorts on Labuan Bajo, days of Indonesian adventure generally end in spectacular fashion.